Yo, what's good? How's it going? My name's Alen. I'm a videographer, photographer, cinematographer, digital creator, content creator, whatever the frick you want to call it. I basically wanted to make this video on how to like start your freelance journey, whether it's moving out to a whole different city that you've never been to, or just trying to get your foot in the door and just different gigs you want to get into. Maybe you're like doing weddings right now or doing family photos, but your like heart is in music videos or filmmaking, things like that. So I just want to throw out some tips out there, to be honest, because I feel like there's not a lot of true and honest videos out there that just kind of talk about like stuff that could help people, especially at a beginner stage. These are some tips that I still do, I still utilize, and I've done in the past, and kind of just help, and actually it helped me get my start here in Los Angeles, because I moved out from Iowa during COVID in 2020, all that madness. These are basically just a few tips that I wanted to put out there and share with the world. So the first like obvious thing is you just want to go out there and shoot, man. That's really what you want to do. You want to go out there and create the content you want to be creating, right? Gather your friends, gather people, whether you have to pay them or pay locations or pay certain things. I mean, obviously you can negotiate your way and try to see if you can do things pro bono, or if other people want to kind of help build your portfolio and all those kind of things, right? You can kind of pitch ideas to different people and locations and network, right? All that kind of ways. But really it's just making content like Spec Ads, doing things just for portfolio reasons. They're kind of like hand in hand, to be honest. So it's like the same thing. Spec Ad is something more of like, you're really trying to emulate a look or style for like a specific brand in the hopes of then thus taking that content and pitching it to more brands that are like that brand. For example, like I did a Nike Spec Ad, right? And it was a fitness kind of running through Runyon Canyon video with one of my good homies, Chris, and me and him, we always shoot and do content together in general. So it was kind of a thing of like, yo, he's like, I want to do something different. I was like, yo, let's do this, kind of have this thing in mind. And with that Spec Ad, now I can go to Nike or Adidas or Under Armour or any up and coming, you know, brand like ASRV or any of these like fitness brands and be like, hey, this is some of the work I've done fitness related. I would love to create something like this for your brand, you know, and then maybe they send you some merch and you kind of get started that way. Or, you know, maybe it's like a paid campaign deal and you actually get like something a lot more worth out of it than like you're doing the thing you want to do and you're getting paid for it and all that kind of stuff. With that specific actual video, I did actually get a client all the way from like Stockholm, and they reached out to me. They had found the models. They said, we want basically the exact same video, but with the female model and our clothing. And yeah, we kind of went through this whole like little, you know, back and forth for a little bit. I actually wasn't too sure if this was even real at first, but Spec Ads are like the craziest way to kind of get the gigs that you really want to get, you know? So really just going out there and shooting, whether it's you want to get better at photography, of like maybe you're doing graduation photos, but you want to really be doing like Versace, Gucci, fashion, editorial type stuff, then find these models wherever you are, hit up your friends, go to Goodwills, get crazy clothes, you know, and then posting it on like social media, promoting that content on social media. I've kind of done that for certain posts of mine that I've made, either Spec Ads and things like that, and promote it, and other brands will actually see it and reach out to me. And even doing like behind the scenes kind of stuff with that video helps a lot too. I know it's kind of corny, but with this day and age with like TikTok and Reels and all these kind of things, like that's kind of the new wave, you know what I mean? And it's like, for me, I think it's just, you have to capitalize on what's going on now. So you kind of want to diversify yourself into different projects you're doing, of like stuff for no money, stuff like with your own money you put in for like $100, $500, whatever it is. Like I did a whiskey commercial with my cousin, shout out Alen, for Proper 12, which is a whiskey by McGregor. And I put my own money into that studio. It was about like $400 or $500. It was like an apartment in downtown. It was like $400 or $500 for like 2 hours. We got some cool photos out of it, both me and Alen, and then we got the Spec Ad that we created. And actually Proper 12 even reached out to me wanting to like reshare that content, you know? So, and it's just like, I know if they saw it, that means more eyes are seeing it, right? So it's just like all these different things. I even did like a goalie Spec Ad, and now I have different brands reaching out. Goalie even reached out to me to wanting to like create content. So just putting that stuff out there, tagging people, hashtagging, all that kind of stuff, like it gets so many eyes on you, like you don't understand how many people are actually like paying attention to your stuff and watching you. Second tip would be Upwork.com. I still use this even like today. Not as much, but I still like look at it and just see what, you know, what kind of gigs are out there. There is a lot of like video editing and remote kind of gigs, and I know people that like make like 6 figures full time, like living off of that. And they build those relationships and get hired in full time. There's copywriters and like different avenues of careers, right, on there that people kind of get into, website building, IT, all these things. But definitely for photographers and videographers, there's like a market in there as well. What I usually do is kind of type in on the search, I either put in like video or videographer or photo or photographer, and all these like little keywords, they really do change, because you could put photo and it could link you like a bunch of different posts like that people have posted. I had a gig where I was literally making like 150 bucks editing like a bunch of just house photo, like one house, you know what I mean, one house like shoot, which usually was about, just kind of depends, maybe like about 100 photos. A site like Upwork, that's kind of what you'll probably see more, is like the video editing or very specific like photo retouching or fashion retouching like stuff, where people, you know, take out the blemishes and all these different things. But to me, I think especially if you're a beginner, it's a really good experience, because then you're kind of building this portfolio in a sense, and you're also building just different skill sets, right, in the softwares that you are using. Another thing too, I would say, is like putting locations down, right? So like if you put wherever you're from, right? Like so for me, if I put Los Angeles, I get a lot of different posts on Upwork for a lot of stuff that's either in the description that has Los Angeles, or it's like in the area of Los Angeles, or somewhere in South California or California. You will get like stuff from out of state, out of the country, you know what I mean? All these different things, but it does help. Just using these different keywords is a thing is a tip that I can kind of give when you're using like these sites, because using all these different keywords and just typing like different things for the SEO on Upwork, like it triggers different posts, you know, so you might not be seeing a lot of different things based on what you're searching for. So the third tip I want to give you is Craigslist, which I know you're probably like, what? But Craigslist, actually, I still use a lot too. I've gotten a lot of reoccurring and retainer clients from that area on that site, right? It's kind of the same thing with Upwork. Is like, it's very like depending what you search for. But yeah, like Craigslist is pretty much the same like Upwork, whereas you have to kind of put those certain key phrases, you know what I mean? Because if you put like music video editor, like you're gonna get gigs for that, right? Like specific to music video editor, there'll be some where it's like that's the title, and then you'll get some where it's like wedding, or it's like music video shooting, like DP, or a colorist, or like all like VFX, right? All these different things. So that's one thing that I've noticed is like, again, it goes kind of back to the Upwork thing, is like you have to kind of really dive deep into it with different keywords and like different words that you're putting in. Don't just put like videographer, photographer, because it will kind of limit the certain posts you're seeing, you know what I mean? And I think it is important just to get into different things. Because I've taken, when I first got here, like in 2020, I took a short film gig to be a colorist. I'm like, I don't really do like, I'm not a colorist, you know what I mean? But I was like, it'll give me my foot in the door, give me some experience, and I'll get connected with somebody. And me and that person actually still talk, and we're still doing work, different work now, because they've seen like, oh my God, you do like video stuff and photo stuff, like I need that, you know? Now I'm from like being a colorist to doing like the thing that I really want to do with this person, you know? And we've kind of cultivated and built that relationship based on that first interaction, you know? And another tip that I noticed in Craigslist is if you put creative gigs, like if you search in creative gigs specifically versus just like Los Angeles as a whole, you're gonna get different gigs that are in there where people are putting for like, I need a model, I need a fashion model, a music video model, I need somebody to be my short films or act, or I need a gaffer, and I need somebody to do lighting or sound or music or whatever it is. Like you're gonna get so many different gigs in there as well. And I'm not gonna lie, I applied to a lot of different stuff in there. Depending what it was, obviously like in the description, I would read through and be like, okay, I can do this, or I can't really do that, but I'll try. And a lot of stuff, it's like, especially the VFX stuff, I was just like, screw it, like, yeah, I'm gonna try and see what I can do. And sometimes that's just the route you kind of have to go and kind of, take the risk into that, right? Okay, and the big thing with Craigslist is obviously you can look through like Los Angeles Craigslist, but you can also look through like San Francisco Craigslist, or like San Diego Craigslist, or like Miami or New York, and like all these big cities. Like even if you're in a small city, like even when I was in Iowa, I was getting gigs that were like in Los Angeles, in New York, and all these like big major cities, you know what I mean? And I was building like these relationships and kind of cultivating these different works, with these people. The majority I did see was like, oh, I need a videographer, I need a photographer. So that's kind of the reason why I like was like, okay, I need to move to Los Angeles because I was seeing a lot of that, like a lot of need for it. So I was like, okay, like if I go there, I definitely can get like, you know, things rolling for myself. But there was a lot of video editing. I was editing podcasts for people. I was doing color grading stuff. I was doing Photoshop stuff, photo editing kind of things, like all that stuff was remote, and I was making money off it, you know what I mean? So it is doable, it's possible, and if you're going hard at it and you're budgeting yourself correctly and you're talking to the right people and building things, like you can definitely make a full-time living just like off that, like I said, building those relationships long term, you know? Even if you're in a small city, like I was in Iowa, in Waterloo, Iowa, and I was like, man, like there's no jobs around here, like I can't look up Waterloo, Craigslist, creative gigs, and you know, look through all that stuff because there's not like a lot. There's maybe like one or two for like a wedding, and you know, and that was like something I didn't want to do, so I was like, okay, there's nothing else here. But if I looked up on like bigger cities, like you would see way more options, right? So, and I still do that, even though I'm in LA now, I'll still look at like Houston, Texas, or Miami, or New York, or like whatever it is, see what's needed, you know what I mean? Because sometimes these people will fly you out because they have the budget, or if you're good enough and they believe in you, or if it's like video editing work and it's remotely done, that kind of thing, like, you know, some people will work with you on that, and then it's on you to kind of build that relationship as well. The fourth thing that I got into when I first like came into LA, a few homies of mine that were moving in different areas, shout out Josh Berendes, he kind of told me about this one, was Facebook creative groups. And I was kind of already in a creative group that was like based in LA, so I already kind of knew about them, but like at the time I wasn't thinking about it, you know? So definitely like Facebook creative groups, because you can find ones with like models in it and directors and producers and all these different things, and people will be like in search of video, you know, like ISO, in search of video editors and videographers, photographers. You know, you can put yourself kind of out there and showcase your work, and then you never know who's kind of paying attention and watching your stuff and going on your Instagram and website and all these things. So Facebook creative groups is like another way in, and I've gotten some gigs off that as well. And it's just like another place to network, you know what I mean? It's online networking. You could go to like co-working spaces as well. That would be a good spot to kind of network with people. And you know, obviously you start a conversation, right? You get a coffee or whatever it is, and you see other people working, and you're like, oh, hey, what do you do? Like, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I run this tech company. It's like, does your tech company need content? You know, like, et cetera, and you exchange info, talk, you know what I mean? You never know. And you could gain like a client from that, you know? And the fifth one, the last one, if you're desperate like me, during COVID, I remember I was going literally like door to door to specific cafes, car dealerships, literally anything. Like I went to like a few different luxury kind of dealerships, like luxury service shops, where I would see like Ferraris and Rolls Royces and things like that, that were like, you know, had a wheel missing or something like that, where like they were in the works of fixing on it, working on it, right? And I would literally go in and be like, hey, like, do you guys have, like, you know, I would explain who I am, my name, whatever, introduce myself, and then I would ask like if they had a marketing director at all, or then if they had like a manager that was there, and then I would talk to that person. I'm like, yo, do you guys do marketing, blah, 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 like, do you need content, all, like, you know, and all these avenues. And I literally did that for a while. I got a lot of no's before I got a yes, but that's kind of how the game goes, right? You know what I mean? You have to kind of push it. So if you're desperate and you really want to do something, like, you're gonna go after it, you know what I mean? You're gonna do what it takes to make sure you kind of get fed, you get your clients, you're getting your money, and you're staying busy, and you're working. You know what I mean? If you really, really want it, that's like not really desperate, but that's like desperate measures, right? Whereas like you're literally just going to people and be like, hey, like, I'm a photographer, I'm a videographer, I love to get, you know, photos of your cafe, maybe it's the drinks or product stuff for your social media or whatever, and like, you know, you pitch different things, bring on different people as you network and learn about. And yeah, I mean, it's really gonna depend on what you wanna do and what you want to create, but there is so many options out there, and you're gonna have to do some things that you don't want to do, you know, in the creative world, right? Like if you're dying to be a filmmaker and you want to make movies like Steven Spielberg, like you're gonna have to work your way up to be able to prove that, you know what I mean? I mean, a good example is like Michael Bay. He was a commercial, you know, director before he started directing movies, right? But it's like he kind of built his way up even to get into commercials, you know? And that's just kind of how it goes, right? Like if you want to be a commercial filmmaker or a videographer, cinematographer, whatever it is, like get on as many sets as you can get on, do as many shoots as you can do, make your own shoots happen, invite your friends, hire people, you know, leverage portfolio, hit up different people that are either in your college or people you grew up with, or, you know, just network. You have to really network and meet people and kind of just align with the same mentality and the same kind of mindset of like, yo, let's create something. And and utilize this piece of content for both of us. And post on social media. I think social media, again, going back to that, is like a really, really, really good platform and area just to be in. All the social medias, doesn't really matter what, but to showcase your work, using the proper hashtags. I mean, just all that kind of stuff is important. And I think always posting content and differentiating that content, whether it's, especially like on my Instagram, I'll do something that's fashion, then I'll do something that's automotive, and then it's like something that's music video, and then it's like a commercial, and then it's like, whatever it is, like all these different things. And I think that shows my versatility, and it shows I can do a lot of different things. So it opens eyes to a lot of people where it's like, oh, he's not just like a photographer that does weddings, or he's not just doing fashion stuff. Like he can also do videos, and he can also do editorial things. He can also do food, and he can do, X, Y, and Z. Obviously, it's also important to kind of niche down and do like specific things. But I feel like as you're starting and kind of growing, it's important to kind of do it all. And at the same time, it's like, why can't you do it all, right? Like, why can't you do badass commercials for big brands and then do, stuff for like a worldwide renowned chef, you know what I mean? And then do things for like cars and do, you know what I mean? Like, why not? So it's literally like the world is your oyster. You can do like anything. You also have to recognize there's going to be ups and downs with everything, right? Like if you're biting the bullet on like, do I go full time into creating? Or like, should I quit this part-time job or full-time job that I hate, this 9 to 5 that I don't want to do anymore? Like, you have to recognize like it's going to be ups and downs in this. It's still ups and downs for me. Some months I'm like, I'm doing really well, and some months I'm like, oh shit, am I gonna have any clients this month? And then next thing you know, I get sworn and you get busy, and then you're working and you're like, you just don't even pay attention, and like, 2 years go down the line and you're like, damn, I've been in LA for 2 years. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to kind of put it out there because I feel like not a lot of people talk about all these things, or they just don't go into like too much detail with it. So I hope this video was kind of like concise, but it was like straightforward with it. I know I didn't like tap into a lot of different things. If you want to know more things about like my journey, or just kind of how I started like full-time into freelance and building my own business, I'm not like 6 figures or nothing yet. Like, it's not this type of video. Just more so like tips, like 5 tips or whatever it is for things that I do and have done to kind of sprung me into this, world of Los Angeles, right? And into this creative space, and to be able to make money and to continue kind of doing my passion and living my dream, right? So if there's anything, like any topics you want me to get, any news topics, definitely DM me on Instagram or comment below, whatever it is. Send it to me, and I can get into it. Whether it's gear or just different like topics you want me to like go into, maybe it's business side stuff, money, whatever it is, I'm all ears, I'm open to whatever. And I just want to make content that's like straightforward, like here's my opinion and here's what I've done or what I think is the right thing to do or whatever, So cool, love you guys, appreciate it. Listening to me ramble and all that kind of stuff. Cool, peace, deuces, love you.